Now, starting off, we have Cassie Ventura. After dating for 10 years, Cassie and Diddy broke up, and in 2018, Cassie has since come out with a lawsuit against Combs that has gained worldwide attention. The case was settled the day after it was filed for an unknown figure, and at the time, Diddy insisted that his ex was out for a quick payday and that all of her allegations were false. But now that CCTV footage was released from 2016, showing an altercation between the two of them where Diddy was incredibly violent to Cassie, it's clear that it wasn't just a cash grab. Diddy then posted to his Instagram page basically admitting everything and claiming that he takes full responsibility for his actions. He said, "I was disgusted when I did it, I'm disgusted now. I went and I sought out professional help. I got into going to therapy, going to rehab. I had to ask God for his mercy and grace. I'm so sorry." He added that he was committed to being a better man each and every day, but you only have to look at the comment section to know that fans don't believe him. They criticized Diddy for only apologizing now that the evidence has finally come out. After all, it's alleged that he paid $50,000 to keep the CCTV footage from the incident. But he failed to realize that Cassie had a copy of it too, and clearly this was the final nail in the coffin when it came to his defense. Cassie's lawyers released a statement about his apology, saying that it was more about himself than the many people he hurt. They said when Cassie and multiple other women came forward, he denied everything and suggested that his victims were looking for a payday. He was only compelled to apologize once his repeated denials were proven false, and it shows his pathetic desperation, and no one will be swayed by his disingenuous words. And then there were also many other celebrities who raised red flags about Diddy. Now, Aubrey O'Day first met the rapper while working with Dainty Kane, which she was a member of. 3 years after the group was formed, Aubrey and another member of the girl brand, D Woods, were fired by Combs. He then went on the air to say that their attitude needed to be humbled and claimed that she had diva behavior that went unchecked. But that's not the only side of the story. In the years since, Aubrey claims that she was fired because she refused to do things that were expected of her outside of recording and doing interviews to promote the band and the albums. And you can pretty much guess what she was saying. Now, given all the recent allegations against Diddy, this statement seems to hold a lot more weight. In fact, Aubrey also spoke out against his recent apology video and wasted no time criticizing his response on social media. She wrote, "Diddy did not apologize to Cassie, he apologized to the world for seeing what he did." Along with her words, she included a photo of the blanket statement that Combs pinned to his social media accounts denying all the allegations. She went on to say, "He says he's disgusted with himself now, and he was disgusted with himself then, but apparently he wasn't disgusted enough with himself to not pin this statement out calling her a liar and denying all of it." And it wasn't just one member of Dainty Kane turning against him. The whole girl group has beef with Diddy. They were supposed to be the next big thing when they were signed to Bad Boy in 2004, but in 2008 when 2 of their members were fired, the dynamic of the group changed. They were never able to recapture the sound the original 5 had when Diddy signed them. Now, over the years, the women have naturally grown apart, but one thing they can agree on is that they have encountered sexist remarks from Diddy and those around him over the years at the very minimum. Now, because of this controversy, the rapper distanced himself from the group, who eventually disbanded in 2009. Speaking of music, Diddy has also had plenty of feuds with other rappers, one of the most infamous being 50 Cent. Whether it's the way Diddy dresses, talks about Notorious Big, or collaborates with other artists, 50 Cent is not here for it. Now, to say that he dislikes Diddy is an understatement. In fact, 50 Cent has been one of the loudest voices when it comes to the Cassie lawsuit. When speaking out about the CCTV footage, he said, "This is why they put that tape out. They know they can't charge him with what we saw, but they know we can't unsee what we saw." He then took another jab at Combs for a statement he released when he said he had sat silently and watched people try to assassinate his character, destroy his reputation and legacy. In response, 50 said, "The lie detector test has determined that this was a lie," which is hilarious because we all know how that turned out. Now, even as far back as 2006, 50 Cent released a diss track about him called The Bomb, where he accused Diddy of continuing to profit off the name of Notorious Big, who was signed to his Bad Boy Records label. Now, whether or not this is true, the man is clearly one of his biggest haters to this day. Now we have Cat Williams. During a candid discussion on the Club Shay Shay podcast, Cat Williams suggested Diddy would be exposed in 2024. The comedian also alleged you have to tell Diddy no, with further claims that he has receipts from everything he shared with host Shannon Sharpe on the episode. At one point he said, "All these big deviants are catching hell in 2024. It's up for all of them. It don't matter if you're Diddy or whoever, Jake's, all lies will be exposed. Anyone who takes it the wrong way knows why they will take it the wrong way," he continued. Now in another snippet, Williams claimed that he had to turn down $50 million 4 times. P. Diddy be wanting to party and you've got to tell him no. I did, he alleged. Now the actor also claimed that he'd known the dirty details about several key players in the entertainment industry and their various wrongdoings for over 30 years. Now Cat was also candid about Diddy's treatment of women, claiming he'd attempted to avoid the world of rappers and the women they associate with. "I don't want to look at nothing I don't want to have," he said, adding, "because I know how blessed I am. If I look at it, I got it. That's how Diddy be feeling," he said. Moving on to Eminem. The rapper's 2018 diss track called Kill Shot Targeting has resurfaced amid Diddy's multiple lawsuits and home raids. In the years-old song, Eminem suggests that he had something to do with the passing of Tupac, referring to the tragic drive-by incident in 1996. While this lyric alone was a bold call-out, Eminem later clarified in the song that the lyrics were a joke when he sang, "I'm just playing Diddy, you know I love you." But while Eminem made it clear that it was a joke, Diddy still clapped back on an episode of the Joe Budden YouTube podcast. During his guest appearance, he responded to the lyrics that involved him sharing a very ambiguous reaction with listeners. In the podcast episode, it was claimed that Diddy said the situation with Eminem was handled privately and that there is nothing to say about it. "It's in my hands, he wild." But either way, the accusation comes at a crazy time for him, considering he is still the subject of a federal investigation. Now news broke on March 25th that Homeland Security had raided his properties in LA and Miami, though reports claim that his sons King and Justin had been home at the time. So things have obviously been very tense when you consider all this happening at the same time. Now let's get into his feud with Jay-Z. Things started off really well. Their friendship traces back to the 1990s when both artists made their mark in the music industry. Now despite the competitive nature of hip-hop, Diddy and Jay found common ground in their shared ambition for music. In 1997, the pair collaborated on a track that landed on No Way Out, Diddy's debut studio album. But only a few years later, both of their careers were subject to controversy. The rappers found themselves in legal turmoil and they were facing the same amount of time in jail. Although they both ended up walking free, they simply could not get away from the backlash. An incident that occurred in 2007 has now resurfaced amid the allegations against Diddy. In a video from a performance at Screamfest 07, he appears to touch Jay's butt, even though the moment is hard to see on camera. But that did not stop 50 Cent from using the clip to drag Jay-Z into Diddy's drama. 50 took to Instagram in November to troll the two of them, suggesting that Diddy intentionally slapped him. Now the video has been shared on YouTube and TikTok, and people can't stop talking about the moment. Now the comments are pretty brutal. People wrote things like, "This aged well," which of course it did not. Wendy Williams was also someone who became Diddy's enemy. The talk show host is notoriously known for throwing a lot of shade to a lot of celebrities, and Combs was one of these celebs. In the 1990s, when she was a radio host, she stated that she believed that Diddy was gay, which is a comment that did not sit well with him. So much so that he got Williams fired from the station. And clearly, the two of them have never been friends since that went down. Wendy's career did a major turnaround when she got on TV, but she did not stop being critical of Diddy's character. Things got tense once again in 2015 when she claimed that he was using Cassie as a possession rather than a partner, which is some real foreshadowing when you think about how everything went down. While Williams said she was over the feud in 2017, the two never reconciled and they clearly still don't see eye to eye. When it comes to the world of rap, artists like Diddy, Kanye, and Jay-Z all keep a tight-knit relationship. But when things went south between Jay-Z and Kanye West, it seems like Diddy got caught in the middle, completely straining his relationship with Kanye. Years after falling out, things seemed to improve between the men, and most likely because time heals all wounds. In fact, Kanye attended Diddy's 50th birthday party, which just goes to show you that they have really patched things up. And lastly, we have to mention Drake. The Canadian artist has become one of the hottest rappers in the music industry over the last several years. Many even compared him to Diddy and Jay-Z. While comparing never goes well, it seems things took a bad turn when Diddy and Drake had a physical altercation over a song. The dispute was over the song 0 to 100, but Diddy denies the allegations that he ever touched Drake, whereas Drake and other celebs, including Charlamagne the God, claimed that he saw it happen for himself. So this one was definitely an awkward situation.
So, according to Dannii Minogue, for her it was J-Lo's insane ultimatums, and she's not alone in that. Some of the reports about Lopez's most egregious sounding on-set demands and ultimatums aren't just from projects she stars in, but also even when she's appearing on a show just for a single day. According to a report for her BBC interview, Lopez required enough dressing rooms for a 90-person entourage if she was going to show up on the day of. In 2022, Dannii Minogue shared what J-Lo was like on their shared episode of Top of the Pops. Minogue and Lopez were set to feature during the same filming, but Lopez, at the last second, threatened not to show. And according to Minogue, it was unless her backstage room was redecorated. I was told everything had to be white, including the sofa. All I could think is girlfriend is covered head to toe in body makeup. How do you sit on an all-white couch? Meanwhile, when she's the star of the show is quite literally revolving around her power-tripping schedule. According to an insider who spoke to Now magazine in 2011, Lopez demanded to eat at exact times every day, no matter what was happening. If the natural lighting was just right, if everything was set up perfectly, Lopez would still walk off set at 10:15 on the dot to eat food specially made for her. This source was from the set of What to Expect When You're Expecting, a movie that J-Lo filmed with Cameron Diaz, and the two famously didn't get along following her next worst J-Lo moment, the movie line interview, which went down in history, man. In an era of interviews PR managed within an inch of their lives, it's rare for a major star to shred into another, let alone half a dozen. But times were different in 1998, and while speaking the movie line, Jennifer Lopez appeared on a mission to burn bridges with every female actor of her generation. When asking Lopez why she believed she was even popular in Hollywood at the time, her answer was simply, because I'm the best. During that interview, described as an orchestrated and deliberate scene, J-Lo's lounging by her swimming pool mid-massage as she proceeds to say that Cameron Diaz was a lucky model who had given a lot of opportunities I just wish she would have done more with. That she didn't know any work Gwen Paltrow did, and that she was famous by association to Brad Pitt. Oh, she also said she wasn't a fan of Winona Ryder, and even S-shamed Salma Hayek and bravely slated another multi-talent Madonna by saying, do I think she's a great actress? No, acting is what I do. So I'm harder on people when they say, oh, I can act. I'm like, hey, don't spit on my craft. Your craft, J-Lo? Bit of a stretch for someone who bit the hand who fed her. And I'm of course talking about her relationship with Rosie Perez, because J-Lo wouldn't have a career without her, yet bashes her. Perez was the choreographer at an open casting call for In Living Color in 1991. While the show's creator called J-Lo a chubby and corny looking girl during audition, Rosie saw potential in dancing, was adamant they gave J-Lo a chance. But in her autobiography, Perez recalled that soon, quote, all of the girls are coming into my office, complaining how J-Lo is manipulating wardrobe, manipulating makeup, and me, all to her advantage, Perez wrote. Adding in that when she confronts Lopez about this, she reacted like, quote, some ghetto biatch, screaming and pounding her chest. Though Lopez left In Living Color after just 2 seasons, once she made it big in Hollywood, she went right on a smear campaign on Perez, making disparaging comments about the woman. I was blindsided, Perez said. I thought we were cool. I called her up and she wouldn't pick up. And then the next time the pair run into each other, J-Lo pretends nothing ever happened. Nothing new. J-Lo likes to pretend a lot of things, like that her career wasn't built off of theft. It starts, of course, with Sony chairman Tommy Mottola and his contentious divorce from Mariah Carey. The newly Sony-side J-Lo was young and pretty and very desperate, so Tommy chose to use her as his pawn to try and sabotage Mariah's Glitter soundtrack, and he did so by giving J-Lo the same samples and beats he saw Mariah using. Mariah's single still comes out on top, but Mottola did, however, find success in damaging Mariah's career, and J-Lo and her team learned that her success laid in using the work of other artists. She especially profited off of Black underground artists, either by literally using their vocals or by taking and rewriting their songs with differing lyrics. Said artists were those like Shantae Moore, Christina Milian, Usher, Mariah Carey, and of course Ashanti, who wrote Ain't It Funny, and Natasha Ramos, who wrote Jenny from the Block. Both artists' backgrounds, ad-libs, laughs, and main vocals were used in the songs but uncredited. J-Lo's theft of music became so persistent and even repetitive for some artists that many began leaking their own music so J-Lo wouldn't steal it. And Usher was the first, but definitely not the last, to loudly sue the singer and win for it. But just like J-Lo, since The Block was mentioned, I'm now going to bring it up and tell numerous stories about it. This first one, how Jenny caused a fiasco. So Lopez once starred in a Fiat commercial in which she drove around the Bronx and explained why her old neighborhood continues to inspire her. Her deal with the Italian manufacturer was reportedly worth millions, yet she refused to actually return to the block that she sang about and forced Fiat to find a body double to do so. The owner of Mott Haven Barbershop, seen in the ad, said the commercial featuring the Fiat 500 car drove up and down the street of East 136, but Lopez was not at the wheel. Instead, it was a double that looked like her. J-Lo's people refused to comment on it, but Fiat was forced to, and they make a public statement explaining that the body double was because of scheduling decisions. I guess I can't be too surprised given that J-Lo even went so as far to refuse financial aid to her own old high school and community. Jenny from the Block has donated, rather stingily and minimally over the years, to charity, but never to her own suffering neighborhood, which has now been criticized by her former principal, Claire Latempa from the Holy Family School, for allegedly turning her back on the community. Latempa, who worked alongside the star's own mother, Lupe, at the school, tells the New York Daily News, "Jennifer hasn't even sent us a CD. Her mother, Lupe, was wonderful. A sweetie. Wonderful with the kids. When Jennifer became famous, I asked Lupe if Jennifer could donate a scholarship in her name, and Lupe said, that's her money and that's it." The school board has since sent inquiries to the singer in the past asking for potential scholarships be set up in her name for prominent music or dance students, but they've received no response. And Latempa adds that the recession hit parents hard. Many of them are single mothers. A lot have lost their job. And she said, "I have one mother who worked at St. Vincent's Hospital for 25 years who's out of work. It's a hard time for families to make tuition. I keep praying she'll donate." It's hard to imagine J-Lo will donate anything though when she did something like the casino reclaim. Several TikTok users have accused Lopez of not tipping her waitstaff, but two stories in particular take the cake, or in this case, the tip. So TikTok user Penny claims that her friend, once employed at the Las Vegas Tavern, told her about serving Ben Affleck one night and he gave said friend a $10K tip for the service. But once J-Lo caught wind of the tip money, she allegedly took it back. Apparently, Affleck was so mortified that the next day he sent a bouquet and $25,000 tip to the server. In a second TikTok now deleted, a woman corroborates this story, claiming the couple's notoriously anti-tipping. Lopez tells Affleck not to tip. He doesn't tip anymore though, baby. You don't need to tell him nothing. He ain't doing it. Taking back tips is some next level behavior from a millionaire like J-Lo, but the woman also cares so little about livelihood of others, she makes her staff jump through hoops. So, a flight attendant told Star Magazine how J-Lo refused to even acknowledge him after he asked to take her drink order. Instead, she turned her head away and told her personal assistant, "Please tell him I'd like a Diet Coke and a lime." And in 2022, amid TikTok's storm of fans sharing negative encounters with Lopez, one user, Kayla, shared how her father worked for a driving company, but he refused to drive for J-Lo after learning her rules. Drivers can't look at her or talk to her, they can't let her luggage touch the ground, and if they even glance through the rearview mirror at her, they could be subjected to a scolding. This is believable since a woman on Quora, Emily Watford, shared her experience working in a concert arena and watching a doorman get fired for making eye contact with J-Lo. And there is rumors of a construction crew from her house who were all banned from eye contact as well. It's absolutely insane to me though how stingy J-Lo is given how much money she makes, but even worse is she has incredibly low standards for earning it as well. Like performing for dictators. According to the Human Rights Watch, Turkmenistan is one of the world's most repressive countries. So it was little surprise that J-Lo is heavily criticized when she agreed to perform for its president's 56th birthday celebrations in 2013. This man's a tyrant responsible for breaching countless human rights laws, and she declared, "It was our pleasure" towards the end of her set, and "we wish you the very happiest of birthdays." Lopez representatives pleaded ignorance following the public backlash, one claiming in a statement that the A-lister would have turned down the invitation if she'd been aware of the president's past, as if she doesn't have access to Google. It would have been a viable excuse also if J-Lo hadn't already done similarly before. She took to the stage for an Aussie oligarch and then a Uzbek businessman's wedding for $1 million sums. And ahead of two controversial gigs in Russia, she reportedly told fans, "I don't like to talk politics, to be quite honest." But she seems really okay dropping political words. You know, like when J-Lo thought everyone would let her get away with dropping a slur in her 2001 remix of I'm Real. Not only did the song have zero similarity to the original whatsoever, but the Latina singer bravely drops the N-word in the opening verse. Penned by Ja Rule, who also rapped on the record, and its producer Irv Gotti, point, the track quickly came under fire from Hot 97. Star and Buckwild, the morning radio DJs, implored listeners to voice their disapproval of the song, and even planned to throw rice and beans at Lopez when she took to the Rockefeller Center's outdoor plaza stage for the Today Show. Edward Hopkins told the Washington Post at the event, "The singer still needs to make amends," stating, "When your music is geared towards suburbanites, there's a certain way you should carry yourself. Using a word like that when less than a third of her audience is African American or Latino is inappropriate." Lopez, however, never apologized for the stunt, instead insisting in a quote, "For anyone to think or suggest or say that I'm racist is really absurd and hurtful to me." A statement which very obviously doesn't actually even address her usage of the word at all, let alone the true reason that people were criticizing her. So,
David Beckham and Mark Wahlberg's drama is a long-winded one. So the soccer legend filed a lawsuit against F45 Fitness, which the Oscar-nominated actor is part owner of. For context, Mark Wahlberg invested in the company in 2019 and became the chief branding officer in 2023. Now, during that time, David Beckham entered into a promotional agreement with the fitness brand through his company, DB Ventures Limited. I think this was around 2021. But on April 21st, 2024, it was reported that David Beckham was suing F45 after claiming that he never received the $10 million he was offered in contract negotiations when partnering with the brand. The complaint said that the Australian-based fitness company agreed to pay Beckham $1.5 million a year, along with shares of stock in the company, which would be available to him 6 months and again 12 months after the company went public. However, the Inter Miami owner's attorneys alleged that the company failed to transfer and register the shares until about 8 months after the agreed upon date. His attorneys also said the shares were worth about $9.3 million less than they were in January of 2022. So Beckham is suing for $9.3 million for his loss of shares, plus an additional $5 million. Beckham is also seeking $4.5 million for payments he alleged he was to receive for the remainder of his term. Now, the company's lawyers have responded to Beckham's complaint in court documents, denying multiple allegations, and they claim that he has not fully performed his obligations. Until we know more, this seems like a mess where both guys might be in the wrong. So back when Mark was known as the famed rapper Marky Mark, he apparently got into it with Eminem of all people. So Eminem opened up on the feud, explaining that it all came to a head in 1999 on TRL. Speaking with Anthony Bozza in the book Whatever You Say I Am, The Life and Times of Eminem, he explained he was told by MTV that he was going to be on the show with Wahlberg, and they were like, he'd appreciate it if we don't call him Marky Mark. So Eminem recalled Wahlberg arriving and saying, "What, is there supposed to be some sort of effing tension here or something?" And Eminem was like, "I pretended like I don't hear him and whatnot, SHIT. Then we're on the air and I'm like, we'll just stand around here like one big fun bunch." So I threw a jab at him. Eminem and Wahlberg reportedly continued to have a dislike for one another as the years went on, but apparently this is all simmered out now. They settled it in 2017. In an issue of The Hollywood Reporter, Mark Wahlberg revealed that he used to have a feud with Leonardo DiCaprio. He says he almost did get cast in 1995's The Basketball Diaries because Leo wanted him off the court. Leo was like, "Over my dead effing body. Marky Mark's not gonna be in this effing movie." Wahlberg admitted he deserved that treatment. Because we'd had a thing. I didn't even realize it, but apparently I was a bit of a phallic thing to him at a charity basketball game. So he was like, "This effing a-hole is not going to be in this movie." But Wahlberg managed to impress the Growing Pains star with his acting chops. So I come in and I do the audition and I kind of look at him and he kind of looks at me, and then we do a scene and they're like, "This effing dude's pretty good, right?" Next thing you know, boom, we're hanging out. Meh. With all that we know about Leo's creepy dating practices, sounds like Mark was ready to butt heads with him from the get-go. So out of all the people in the world, Mark got into a fitness feud with famed TV personality Dr. Oz. The two got into it after Dr. Oz shared his thoughts on breakfast, saying that it isn't an essential meal, and explained his approach to intermittent fasting. Wahlberg, who was a big proponent of getting in a meal both before and after his early morning workouts, disagreed with Oz's perspective when asked about it by TMZ. And thus, a heated back and forth social media feud began. The men challenged each other to a workout to see if they could keep up with one another, despite their different viewpoints. And finally, Wahlberg shared that he and Oz met up face to face to do just that. He said, "I don't think he knew what he was getting himself into, but he was a trooper. I squashed him like a grape. Poor thing, he didn't know what was happening." Now, Dr. Oz has been proven to be a fraud time and time again, so that's not super surprising. So thanks for warning folks that he's hot air. One thing about Mark is that he is known for having a close-knit group of friends, one of which being Michael Jordan. And somebody who didn't know this? Kevin Hart. Hart and Wahlberg worked together on the film Me Time, which was not one of Wahlberg's many films to gross over $100 million at the box office. But apparently the guys had a great time together. But after Wahlberg found out that Hart had some unkind things to say about Jordan, an interview the two were in took a detour, and it was during this time that Wahlberg showed that he was not happy that Hart shaded his buddy. The beef between Hart and Jordan came to be when Hart did a stand-up comedy set at a charity event that Jordan was hosting. Between a bit too much booze, which is apparently one of his backstage requests before he does stand-up, and the need to get a laugh from the crowd, Hart went too far and might have permanently damaged his relationship with Jordan. He said, "Mike still might be mad at me. True story." So while he was doing the set, he's like, "Nobody's laughing." It got to the point where nobody's laughing. He's looking straight at me. He's actually giving me a look like, "You gonna keep on going? Like you ain't gonna stop?" "I don't care, I'm having a good time, I was laughing." Now Hart admitted, "I may or may not have been, well, under the influence at the time. I hit him with one more, and nobody says nothing." So it got over, and he went to go see him, and he's like, "What up, Mike? Hey." And Hart went on to say, he shook my hand, and he squeezed it real hard, and he was like, "You have a good day." Which is, never a good sign. In 2013, a series of leaked court documents suggested that Tom Cruise had compared working on a film to being as intense as fighting in the military. It's safe to say that the statement did not go down well with Mark Wahlberg. Later down the line, he was promoting his film, Lone Survivor, which is based on actual events of the failed 2005 mission, Operation Red Wings, where Mark played the role of a Navy SEAL. Now, when he was asked about the difficulty of shooting the film, he went on an angry rant, quoting, "For actors to sit there and talk about, oh, I went to SEAL training, and I slept on the, oh, I don't give an F what you did. For somebody to sit there and say my job was as difficult as somebody in the military's? How effing dare you? When you sit in a makeup chair for 2 hours?" He added that at the end of the day, actors get to go home, go to their hotel room, and order effing chicken. Now, Tom's lawyers jumped in very quickly and claimed that he was only joking. He's a very big supporter of the troops. But the tension was very real. Back in 2014, in a moment of elation following Rob Gronkowski's touchdown against the Oakland Raiders, Patriots owner Robert Kraft went out for a high five with his boxmate, yes, you guessed it, Mark Wahlberg, and his eager fingers met, well, the wind. Not only did Wahlberg decline to participate in the high five, he also snubbed not one, but 2 shoulder pokes from a desperate Kraft, who was left hanging. It seems that even the kind of rich guys whose collar and cuffs are a different color than the rest of their shirts shan't presume to high-five Lord Wahlberg. Of course, we don't know why he denied the high five. Maybe he was just really busy paying attention to football or something. The happening has been called one of the worst screw-ups of M. Night Shyamalan's career, and of course, being a part of the production also reflected badly on Mark Wahlberg. So it's no surprise that he trashed the movie relentlessly, even though he had the lead role. At first, the plot sounds like it had potential. It follows a Philadelphia high school teacher who tries to keep his wife safe during a global crisis in which plants spread a neurotoxin that causes humans to completely act out. But it was completely ridiculous. Wahlberg himself admitted that he had no idea what was happening in the happening. He just took the role because he was tired of playing tough guys. He said, "F it, it is what it is. Effing trees, man. You can't blame me for not wanting to try to play a science teacher. At least I wasn't playing a cop or a crook." Now, the director responded to the actor's criticism in 2019, and he really took the whole thing like a champ, saying it's totally his call, however he wants to interpret it. At least he has a good attitude about it. Family relationships can be complicated, and this is no different for high-profile celebrities as well. While internal politics between family members escape public scrutiny, if you're an ordinary person, big-league Hollywood stars don't have the luxury of privacy, be it rumors or otherwise. So despite having music and acting careers and their Wahlberg's food empire, Donnie and Mark, yes, they have their separate things, they have their restaurants, but they also don't have a lot of love for each other. In August of 2014, when Donnie was set to marry Jenny McCarthy, TMZ revealed that Mark and his wife wouldn't be attending the wedding. Now, there was a lot of speculation. Is it like, are you not fans of the bride? Nope, it just turns out that the brothers aren't super duper close, and there's a lot of badness there. And finally for today, Mark appeared on The Conan Show years ago and revealed his daughter's obsession at the time with now former boy band One Direction. He was like, okay. Now, Mark being Mark, he threatened to knock the crap out of the young and blessed Harry Styles. Like, he legitimately tweeted out, if Styles doesn't watch out, he's gonna risk getting a black eye or 2. Yep, those were the days when celebrity chatter on social media was very much unregulated. Mark told Conan, "My 4-year-old's going, 'Daddy, I like Harry.' And I'm like, well, I'm gonna punch Harry in the nose when I see him." He continued to say that she pulls out pictures of Harry Styles and she's hiding the pictures in her room, and he pretends he's ripping them up and he gets jealous. And I saved his quote-unquote best line for last, "But if I see that little prick, he's gonna get it." Lovely. Now, I think the most endearing part of this feud was Styles' retaliation. The UK's Daily Star reported that Harry thought this conversation was an absolute hoot, so he sent Wahlberg and his family a very special invite. Now, what did he do? Well, he sent them tickets to a show, which was, I think, super fun.
Rebecca Ferguson has caught the attention of internet sleuths. She is one of the internet's favorite celebrities right now, so when she revealed that she was once screamed at on set by an unnamed but famous actor, fans are quick to scour her past films and point fingers. Many fingers are pointed at Hugh Grant. TV host and actor Jon Stewart did let us know that Grant's on-set behavior wasn't the nicest in a 2012 interview. Stewart said the actor would never be welcome back on the show he had been working for at the time. He also remarked that Grant was giving everyone grief the whole time, and he's a big pain in the— I'll let you finish that sentence yourself. Grant himself has admitted to his set tantrums. In an interview with Total Film magazine, Grant admitted that while on the set of the movie Dungeons & Dragons: Honor Among Thieves, he lost his temper with a woman in his eyeline on the first day of filming. He went on to say, "I assumed she was some executive from the studio who should have known better. Then it turns out that she's an extremely nice local woman who was the chaperone of the young girl. Terrible, a lot of groveling." It's not clear if Grant is the one that yelled at Rebecca Ferguson, but Grant himself has admitted that Bridget Jones's Diary co-star Renee Zellweger is one of the few actresses I haven't fallen out with. So there's that. Charlie Sheen, who you may know from the TV show 2.5 Men, has a history of not being very nice to his partners. Actress Denise Richards let us know who this man is a long time ago. In May of 2006, she filed a restraining order against her husband, soon-to-be former husband, Charlie Sheen. The pair had 2 children together, one only 10 months old and the other was 2. According to the order, Sheen could only see the children if it was a supervised visit. Otherwise, Sheen had to stay 300 yards away from them and their mother, Denise Richards, at all times. The reason Richards had to get the restraining order in the first place was because Sheen allegedly said some violent things to her and handled her roughly. Similar situations would happen later on in Sheen's career with different women. Naya Rivera is most well known for her role as Santana Lopez on hit show Glee. The talented singer did try to warn us about another talented singer, Ariana Grande, specifically Ariana's dating habits. Ariana is in hot water right now because of her relationship with fellow Wicked co-star Ethan Slater and the messy timeline of when they got together and whether or not there was infidelity. Ariana's dating history hasn't really helped her case in this particular case, and Naya provided some insight on her history thanks to shared ex Big Sean. Naya and Big Sean were engaged in 2013, but there were rumors that everything wasn't going well. Naya actually confirms this in her book, Sorry Not Sorry: Dreams, Mistakes, and Growing Up. She wrote, "We'd been fighting for 5 days straight while he was traveling, and then on the one day that he was back in LA, he said he didn't want to see me. But Big Sean was her fiance, and Naya didn't just want to give up. She had a key to his house and she was gonna use it. She did go to his home and let herself in to presumably try and find Big Sean to work things out, but she was met with a pretty big surprise." She writes, "Guess what little girl is sitting cross-legged on the couch listening to music? It rhymes with Shmariana Shmonday." Even though she basically name-dropped Ariana, and Ariana and Sean started dating that same year, Ariana nor a rep of hers have addressed the book. Though she did famously reference Big Sean in her song, Thank You Next, with the lyric, "Thought I'd end up with Sean, but he wasn't a match." Big Sean did address his previous relationship with Naya when he wrote the song, I Don't F With You. The entire situation was not the best look for Ariana, and it seems we are seeing the same thing again a decade later. This point counts for 2 actors because they were warning us about the same guy at the same time. Actors Jim Carrey and Cameron Diaz warned us about musician Chris Isaak way back in the 1995 MTV Awards. Chris and Cameron were presenting the award for Best Kiss together. Everything was going well until Chris leaned over for a kiss, and it looked like Cameron was not
into it. She was leaning away from him, putting her hand up to try and block her mouth. It's a painful watch, to say the least. The winners of the category, they get announced, and it is Jim Carrey and Lauren Holly for Dumb and Dumber. You can see a smirk on Jim Carrey's face, the one that we all know now that means that man is up to something. The something in question for this award show was giving Chris Isaak a taste of his own medicine. While Cameron passed the award to Lauren, Jim and Chris shared a quick kiss. Much like how Chris grabbed Cameron, Jim grabbed him. The camera doesn't catch the side angle, it's switched from that pretty quick, so we don't know if it was a real kiss, but Chris is seen wiping his mouth after and looks a bit more uncomfortable than before. As Lauren starts her acceptance speech, Jim can be seen smirking and smacking his lips, so I'll let you decide what you think went down. Jim Carrey and Cameron Diaz did know each other before this moment. They had starred in the 1994 film The Mask together. Chris Isaak got into more trouble years later. In 2015, he was a judge on The X Factor and went on a bit of a rant with some colorful wording towards another judge after they had made a comment towards a performer. A lawsuit was filed against Isaak in 2013 by a former technician that went on tour with him. The people Isaak associated with while on tour were allegedly not the nicest either and used some homophobic language towards the person who filed the suit. It's not clear though if Isaak was part of that specifically. Kanye West has been making headlines for a long time now, but not always for the best reasons, especially lately. Kanye has been making some pretty controversial statements about the history of black people in America, saying certain 400-year-long bad parts sound more like a choice to him, but Kanye has always exhibited some slightly unhinged behavior and said some wild things. That 2009 VMAs moment with Taylor Swift is probably the most famous example. He was literally just a guy in the audience, not a presenter, not performing, just in the audience. Well, not for long. He jumped up on stage and then after his little speech, he was allegedly ushered out of the building. It wasn't until years later that we actually got clarification from him on why he decided to steal the spotlight like that. He explained all of this on Nick Cannon's YouTube talk show, Cannon's Class. Kanye said, "If God didn't want me to run up on stage and say Beyonce had the best video, he wouldn't have sat me in the front row. I would have been sitting in the back." But when you put it like that, point is, his most recent comments are still shocking, but more expected when you take into account past behaviors. Jeanette McCurdy also had some information to share about Ariana Grande in her own book, I'm Glad My Mom Died. Jeanette worked on the Nickelodeon show Sam and Cat with Ariana. Both girls had starred on different shows before this one, with McCurdy as Sam and iCarly and Grande as Cat and Victorious. They combined forces in Sam and Cat, keeping their same characters from before. It was slated to be a hit show, however, right as they were filming season 1, Ariana's music career started to take off and suddenly she wasn't on set much. McCurdy's book details how Grande used to regularly miss filming. According to the book, Ariana was missing filming to go sing at award shows, record new songs, and do press for her upcoming album, while in McCurdy's own words, she said she had to angrily hold down the fort. McCurdy does admit that a lot of her ill will towards Ariana was rooted in jealousy. She was jealous of the fact that Ariana was able to miss filming, and McCurdy hadn't had the same opportunity to do that when she had asked to do that in the past. McCurdy writes that she had to turn down 2 features she had booked while working on iCarly because the team for the show wouldn't write her out of the episode so she could go and film. However, while filming Sam and Cat, Ariana would sometimes miss up to a week at a time. McCurdy writes, "The week where I was told Ariana would not be here at all and that they would write around her absence this episode by having her character be locked in a box? Are you kidding me? So I have to turn down movies while Ariana's off whistle-toning at the Billboard Music Awards." Continuing with, "This is what it is. Ariana misses work in pursuit of her music career while I act with a box." Apparently, what really made McCurdy dislike Ariana and feel really jealous was when Ariana told McCurdy that she had spent the previous evening playing charades at Tom Hanks' house. That does sound like the perfect evening, but McCurdy did further write that this moment was what took it too far, and that after this, every time she misses work, it feels like a personal attack, which implies Ariana continued to put the show on the back burner. The 2014 elevator video of Solange and Jay-Z has now gone down in celebrity history. She gets physically aggressive towards Jay-Z while Beyonce watches without getting involved. The altercation happened after a Met Gala after party that year. It started with just verbal aggression on her part before turning more physical. Shortly Shortly after the incident, the trio involved released a joint statement basically saying that they love each other and are working through it all together. Even with the statement, everyone wanted to know exactly what had caused the entire thing to happen in the first place. Some people were saying Jay-Z said something inappropriate, some were saying outside individuals had made comments beforehand and the elevator was just the pot boiling over. Many people believe it was due to Jay-Z's infidelity, and that is the leading theory today. He did admit to cheating on Beyonce a few years later in 2018. Chris Brown has been a menace, derogatory, for as long as he's been well known. Rihanna warned us about the type of person he was back in 2009. If you have kept up with celebrity gossip, you probably know that Chris Brown was not very kind to Rihanna, and pictures of his aggression went viral. That wasn't enough for some people, and Brown was still outperforming around the world. Well, it actually was enough for the UK. They denied him a visa in 2010 because of the incident, but this is just the most well-known of his many antics and meltdowns. He's done a lot, like wear racially insensitive Halloween costumes, really racially insensitive ones. He's allegedly attacked other celebrities, violated restraining orders, been arrested a few times, investigated by police, sued, accused of SA, pandemic partying, and even owning a restricted species of monkey. But he made headlines again recently for SA charges. The lawsuit has since been dropped, but it was for $20 million. You might know Bob Guccione from the 4-part limited series on A&E, Secrets of Penthouse. Bob owned the adult magazine Penthouse. The series is about living with him and all the horrible things he did. You also might know him as he was one of the big guys Pamela Anderson and Tommy Lee sued over their adult tape. Now, we see this man for the terrible person he was, but there were always signs. The adult tape thing didn't happen until 1995 or 1996, and a limited series came out in 2023. But way back in 1989, adult film actress Anika De Lorenzo filed a lawsuit against Bob for harassment claims of the adult nature, alleging that he coerced her to engage in activities with business partners and associates. She did win the case and was awarded $4 million. But unfortunately, no one really listened to this entire situation, and Bob didn't suffer much from it. This was barely a dent in his fame or fortune at the time. He was at one point considered one of the richest men in the US and owned the biggest penthouse in New York, but filed for bankruptcy protection in 2003. The man was also known for publishing compromising, mostly clothingless pictures of celebrities and other public figures without their consent. That's why Pamela and Tommy were so worried when they found out he had a copy of their tape. He passed away in 2010. Right now for Ariana, that is the controversy surrounding her relationship with Wicked co-star Ethan Slater. Basically, Ethan plays the character of Bach, and that character is obsessed with Glinda the Good Witch, Ariana, but she doesn't really want anything to do with him romantically in the movie. It's not the case in real life. The two are officially a couple, which would be adorable. Everybody loves it when two cute co-stars make it official. Tom Holland and Zendaya, Zac Efron and Vanessa Hudgens. The difference here is that both Ariana and Ethan were married, and Ethan had a very young child that Ariana allegedly held, but that's not confirmed. This is not the first time Ariana has done something like this, so there were warning signs. Naya Rivera tried to warn us because this situation literally happened to her when she was with Big Sean. Not 100% the same, of course, but similar. Naya and Big Sean were engaged for a few months. They got engaged in October 2013, but Big Sean broke it off by April 2014. Before that happened, there were rumors circulating that the pair wasn't doing too well. Naya did actually confirm this in her book, Sorry Not Sorry, Dreams, Mistakes, and Growing Up. She wrote, "We'd been fighting for 5 days straight while he was traveling, and then on the day that he was back in LA, he said he didn't really want to see me." However, Naya wasn't ready to just give up on her fiance. Plus, she was his fiance, so she had a key to his house, and she was gonna use it. She did go to his home and let herself in, and was met with a pretty big surprise. She writes, "Guess what little girl is sitting cross-legged on the couch listening to music? It rhymes with Shmariana Shmonday." Even though she basically name-dropped Ariana, and Ariana and Sean started dating the same year, Ariana, nor a rep of hers, has addressed the book. Though she did famously reference Big Sean in her song Thank You Next, opening the song with the lyric, "Thought I'd end up with Sean, but he wasn't a match." Big Sean did address his previous relationship with Naya when he wrote the song I Don't F With You. The small silver lining here is no kids were involved this time. Naya's son was not from her relationship with Big Sean, but instead with her ex-husband Ryan Dorsey, so that's good at least. Ariana and Big Sean dated for about 8 months before breaking up. Jeanette McCurdy revealed some details about her working relationship with Ariana when they starred on the Nickelodeon show Sam and Cat together. In particular, she revealed that Ariana wasn't always there. Both girls had starred on different Nickelodeon hit shows before this one, with McCurdy as Sam and iCarly, and Grande as Kat and Victorious. They combined forces in Sam and Kat keeping the same characters. It was slated to be a hit show. However, right as they were filming season 1, Ariana's music career started to take off. McCurdy's book, I'm Glad My Mom Died, details how Grande used to regularly miss filming, writing that Ariana was missing so she could go sing in award shows, record new songs, and do press for her upcoming album. While in her own words, McCurdy said she had to angrily hold down the fort. McCurdy does admit that a lot of her ill will towards Ariana was rooted in jealousy. She was jealous of the fact that Ariana was able to miss work and McCurdy couldn't. In the chapter, McCurdy writes that she had to turn down 2 features she had booked while on iCarly because the team working on the show wouldn't write her out of the episodes so she could shoot the movies. However, while filming Sam and Kat, Ariana would sometimes miss up to a week at a time. McCurdy writes, the week where I was told Ariana would not be here at all and that they would write around her absence this episode by having her character be locked in a box? Are you kidding me? So I have to turn down movies while Ariana's off whistle-toning at the Billboard Music Awards? Continuing with, this is what it is. Ariana misses work in pursuit of her music career while I act with a box. Apparently, the straw that really broke the camel's back, what really made McCurdy dislike Ariana, was when Ariana told McCurdy she had spent the previous evening playing charades at Tom Hanks' house. First of all, that is so cool, dream night right there, but McCurdy did further write that this moment was what took it too far and that after this, every time she misses work, it feels like a personal attack, which implies Ariana continued to put the show on the back burner. Victoria Justice and Ariana have been under internet speculation ever since the infamous I Think We All Sang video hit the screen. I love that video. The two girls both starred on the hit show together, Victorious, with Ariana as Kat Valentine and Victoria as Tori Vega. It's interesting actually that Ariana seemed to put her singing career so far above her acting career and missed so much Sam and Kat filming because in 2013 it seems she actually wanted to do 2 shows with Nickelodeon at once. Back in 2013, this website called Ask FM was really popular. You would create a profile and people can ask you questions anonymously or publicly. Ariana allegedly had one of those and used it to respond to a Victorious fan that had accused the show Sam and Kat of ruining Victorious. The fan wrote, Victorious didn't have closure because of Sam and Kat, no matter what you people say. You're obviously just trying to protect yourselves from the hate. Ariana did not appreciate this and again allegedly responded, Sweetheart, the only reason Victorious ended is because one girl didn't want to do it. She chose to do a solo tour instead of a cast tour. If we had done a cast tour, Nickelodeon would have ordered another season of Victorious while Sam and Kat filmed simultaneously, but she chose otherwise. I'm sick of this. While the response never named Victoria directly, Victoria did go off on a tour in 2013. It wasn't purely solo though, it was the summer break tour and it featured Victoria and the band Big Time Rush. Victoria did send out a suspicious tweet shortly after the Ask FM post that read, some people would throw someone that they consider a friend under the bus just to make themselves look good. Hashtag stop being a phony, hashtag if they only knew. Of course, we don't know for sure who Victoria was tweeting about. Ariana herself has actually warned us about her relationship habits a few times. She has multiple songs that indicate that she has gone after people in a relationship. Most obvious choice being, break up with your girlfriend, I'm bored. A song from her album, Thank You Next. Another example is from the song One Last Time off the album My Everything. And One Last Time, Ariana sings, Baby, I don't care if you got her in your heart, all I really care is you wake up in my arms. The album was released in August of 2014, the same month Ariana and Big Sean's relationship went public. This is going to sound so ridiculous, but Frankie Grande kind of predicted Ethan Slater's involvement in Ariana's life by looking like him. Frankie Grande is Ariana's brother, by the way. But like seriously, when you put photos of these two side by side, the resemblance is uncanny. It's unsettling to say the least. Thankfully, the two guys keep their fashion choice and their hairstyles very separate, so the resemblance isn't perfect, but they do have very similar facial features. Celebrity in her own world, the character of Regina George has served as a warning about Ariana's dating habits. In the film Mean Girls, Regina George goes after her new friend Katie's crush Aaron Samuels. After she finds out Katie is into him, she takes him back. Hopefully, most people watching this video have seen Mean Girls. If not, go watch it. It's not required or anything, it's just a good movie. Anyway, in the thank you next video, Ariana takes a few iconic movies from the early 2000s, uses those popular scenes in them to make the video. Let me be clear, I love this music video. I think it was so well done and I still watch it every once in a while. It was iconic. Mean Girls was one of the movies they used, and Ariana played Regina George, the one who gets with her friend's crush only to cheat on him later. Yeah, it's a fun character to play, but also a little bit, just a little too real. Before dating Ethan, Ariana was married to Dalton Gomez. Before marrying Ariana, Dalton was dating Ricky Barton, a holistic health coach. There aren't many details available on how exactly their relationship ended, but fans were given a single crumb thanks to an Instagram story posted by Ricky. Using a meme format, she posted a picture of herself with the caption, "When you see your ex with the person they told you not to worry about." The timing was what made the Instagram story suspicious, as it was posted shortly after the news broke that Ariana and Dalton were dating. We are back in 2013 and looking at Ariana's ex-boyfriend's Jay Brooks' lengthy Twitter rant about Ariana cheating on him. Jay Brooks and Ariana Grande dated for just under a year, with the relationship for sure ending in October 2013. Brooks posted a lengthy rant on Twitter about how he was cheated on and how he wasn't doing well with it, but ready to move on, how much he loved Ariana. It really was something. It looks like the goal of the long rant wasn't to get Ariana back, but instead to get the public to stop asking about his relationship with her and act as like closure for him. He was an 18-year-old boy. I won't pretend to know about that thought process. Either way, he was clearly very hurt. Ariana did respond to the long rant with her own Twitter thread. She wrote, "Woke up this morning in complete and utter shock. I guess I shouldn't be so surprised. You said to me if I didn't come back to you, you'd make me look bad to the entire world. I'm no longer afraid of you or your lies anymore. I'm going to be the lady my mother raised and carry myself with class and dignity, but I will never be any man's press opportunity." Before there was Ariana Grande and Pete Davidson, there was Cassie David and Pete Davidson. Both Cassie and Pete are comedians and actors. Cassie is also an author. The two were dating for 2.5 years, and David's 2020 book, No One Asked for This, is shedding some light on the end of their relationship. The book is a collection of essays, and in one she reveals that she initially ended things with Davidson because she was unable to prove to him she loved him back, so they took a little break. Just a few days later though, she called to try and work things out, but Davidson told her he was okay with the break and that he was the happiest he had ever been. According to the Los Angeles Times, David wrote that he dumped her over text 2 days later, and then very shortly after that, like a single day after that, Pete and Ariana were seen together. Ariana had been a musical guest on SNL in the past and hosted the show, so her and Davidson had definitely known each other previously. David was understandably pretty upset and initially didn't want to talk about the situation, sharing with the Los Angeles Times, "Writing about it has caused me a ton of anxiety, especially because I talk so much about hating the attention it brought me. Why would I bring more attention to myself by writing about it? But there's nothing that's gonna be worse than what I already experienced with that." Hey, if someone can write songs and comedy specials about past relationships, she should be able to write some essays. By this point, anyone who keeps up with celebrity news and gossip has probably heard about the Britney Spears memoir. More specifically, the role Justin Timberlake played in that memoir. Were some of us shocked by just how tone-deaf and Barbie movie-core the playing the guitar situation was? Yes, but should we have been? Justin has shown inappropriate behavior in the past. Just look at what happened with wife Jessica Biel. Close after their first son arrived in 2015, Justin was spotted out on the town getting a bit too close to Palmer co-star Alicia Wainwright. Sure, the pair weren't doing anything beyond like holding hands, it was just the placement of where those hands were that had everyone freaking out. Still, it was bad enough that Justin had to issue a public apology to Instagram, saying, "A few weeks ago I displayed a strong lapse in judgment, but let me be clear, nothing happened between me and my co-star. I drank way too much that night and regret my behavior. I should have known better." Justin and Jessica are still married and welcomed another child a few years later. The iconic photo of Nicole Kidman walking out of the courthouse after divorcing Tom Cruise. Need I say more? I don't think I have ever seen someone look so free and happy to be alive. Listen, I love Mission Impossible and by extension Tom Cruise, but you can't put your favorites in a place where they can do no wrong. So Tom, what did you do to warrant this level of joy at being divorced? Apparently, at the time, Kidman thought everything was going well in their marriage. They had 2 adopted children, so when she got the divorce papers, she was shocked to say the least. Cruise said it was due to irreconcilable differences, but Kidman later told People our life together was perfect. Okay. Kidman did continue later, sharing, "This was a great relationship. I think it ran its course." She hasn't shared much about the marriage, stating that it helped her feel safer in Hollywood. No one would dare cross such a big movie star by hurting his wife, and the 11 years they were married were important for them and their kids. Taylor Swift wrote almost a whole album warning us about John Mayer, with the most obvious track being Dear John. John Mayer did not appreciate the possible song dedication, saying, "It made me feel terrible because I didn't deserve it. It was a really lousy thing to do. I was caught really off guard." That's fair, but Taylor never confirms who her songs are about, and even said that Mayer was presumptuous to think the track was even about him. Just for fun, if Dear John was about Taylor's relationship with John, the lyrics are a pretty heart-wrenching depiction of our relationship. Taylor singing, "Don't you think 19's too young to be played by your dark twisted games, and you are an expert at sorry and keeping the lines blurry, and wondering which version of you I might get on the phone tonight. That's not a good look." No wonder John was so mad. But this isn't even the biggest controversy attached to his name. John Mayer has gone on record saying the N-word. He also made some very weird public comments about his private love life with then-girlfriend Jessica Simpson. More recently though, in 2022, then 45-year-old Mayer apparently stepped out on a date with 22-year-old Kiernan Shipka. The pair hasn't been spotted out since, and it's been over a year, so maybe it was just two friends hanging out, or maybe the angry internet mob got to them. Jessica Alba warned us more about Gwyneth Paltrow's business than the woman herself, but she does run the business, so I think it counts. Back in 2013, Jessica Alba was out on a press tour for her new self-help book, The Honest Life: Living Naturally and True to You. In an interview with the New York Daily News, Alba was asked if the book drew any inspiration from Paltrow, because Paltrow owns Goop, a wealth and lifestyle brand. So they're both working at similar things. However, Alba was quick to separate the two, saying, "Gwyneth Paltrow probably lives a very similar lifestyle, but I didn't grow up with a bunch of money, so my tips are much more grounded, repurposing things and making things at home." Alba's book is on average sitting at a 4 out of 5 stars on multiple book recommendation sites, and Goop is also doing well, but at what cost? They went viral for a few odd candle scent choices, and in 2023 they had to pay $145,000 in civil penalties for selling products with unsubstantiated health claims. That just means unproven health claims. In 2019, the In Goop Health Conference was held in an expensive hotel in London. Nightly room prices were averaging $1,300. Back to that silver spoon thing. Paltrow herself found her name in the headlines last year for the infamous ski accident. She was in the right in the end, but it did come with its fair share of viral moments, including the plaintiff's lawyer and Paltrow talking about how tall they were, and later Paltrow remarking, "Well, I lost half a day of skiing." Yes, some social media users think this entire thing was the second season of Jury Duty with how ridiculous some of it was. Do y'all remember the Don't Worry Darling press tour? That entire thing felt like watching a reality TV show. What do you mean Harry Styles maybe spit on Chris Pine? What do you mean the lead actress allegedly had to take on a directorial role? Just so many things. Florence Pugh was pretty absent during the film's premiere at the Venice Film Festival, but she did make her red carpet appearance. While Florence hasn't gone on record explicitly saying anything, her silence is just as loud. When she was first signed on to the project, Pugh seemed incredibly excited about it. She posted multiple times on Instagram expressing this. But when it came time to promote the movie and when the film actually came out, she barely said anything, and when she did, she almost always left director Olivia Wilde out of it. The few times Pugh has spoken about the film, it seems like she is directly contradicting something Wilde said. A big sore spot that came up even before filming started was around the casting of Shia LaBeouf. LaBeouf had been accused of quite a few bad things by ex-FKA Twigs, and therefore Florence allegedly did not feel comfortable working with him. At first, Olivia came out saying she agreed, and that's why he was fired. However, LaBeouf came forward and basically said Olivia was lying. He shared screenshots and a video from Wilde that made it seem like she was actually on LaBeouf's side. It was right around when these got released that Florence confirmed she would not be promoting the film with Wilde. That's suspicious, that's weird. There was also this rumor floating around for a while that Florence allegedly took on more directorial duties during filming, as Wilde was preoccupied with Harry Styles. This is yet to be, and probably never will be, confirmed. Forever ago, a decade or more now I think, Taylor Swift and Katy Perry did not get along. Technically, Taylor Swift fits this video because she has a few acting credits, sorry if I made you think about Cats 2019, and Katy was in Smurfs. Mostly, Taylor and Katy are singers. Back when Taylor was out on her Red World Tour and Katy's Prismatic Tour was just starting, 3 of Taylor's dancers left before the Red tour was over to join Katie's tour. Taylor was not happy about this at all and told Rolling Stone that an unnamed pop star, like everyone thinks she's talking about Katie, an unnamed pop star basically tried to sabotage an entire arena tour. She tried to hire a bunch of people out from under me. Then Katie seemingly responded on Twitter with the cryptic, "Watch out for the Regina George in sheep's clothing." The feud went on for years and a few songs were written that were of course not about this. Thankfully, the two pop icons have buried the hatchet and did so in a big way. They were shown towards the end of Taylor Swift's "You Need to Calm Down" music video with Katie dressed as a hamburger and Taylor as fries hugging it out. This literal beef is so old now, but the song Bad Blood is forever. Katie even went to the Eras tour and posted a video of her react Bad Blood, all in good fun. James Franco has now found himself in hot water as 5 women have come forward accusing him of inappropriate misconduct. But we should have seen this coming if his past behavior on film and TV sets is anything to go by. Busy Phillips has let us know what kind of person James Franco is from the beginning. The two worked together on the 1999 TV series Freaks and Geeks, and apparently neither enjoyed it. Busy says Franco acted like a bully on set, and most notably once shoved her to the ground. Allegedly, while filming a scene where Busy lightly hit Franco on the chest, Franco, not in character anymore, grabbed Busy, screamed in her face, and then threw her to the ground. Allegedly, he was forced to apologize by the directors and producers. Not a good look for him, and still not a good look all these years later. Technically, Jennifer Aniston warned us about the Brangelina split long before it happened. The once royalty-level Hollywood couple didn't start on the greatest foundation. Brad Pitt cheating on Jennifer Aniston with Angelina Jolie, but the pair did go on to stay together for 12 years and had 6 kids together before also splitting in 2016. According to an insider close to Jennifer, Jennifer allegedly thinks the entire thing was an example of karma, and that she admittedly feels sort of satisfied about Brad and Angelina's split, but she also never wanted this for them or wished this on them. Hey, she's only human. Brad and Angelina cited the reason for their divorce to be irreconcilable differences, but it came out a bit later that the Los Angeles Department of Children and Family Services was looking into Brad for allegedly not treating his kids very well. It was revealed that Pitt didn't actually physically harm one of the kids, but he did make contact. Not a great look either way. Angelina Jolie and Oprah Winfrey, one of the world's biggest movie stars and one of the world's biggest TV stars, have one big thing in common: they are philanthropists. Oprah hoped to join forces with Angelina Jolie in 2006 when she was opening her Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls in South Africa. However, Angelina said no. This seems like such a great thing for Angelina to work on. She has her own charity that donates thousands to girls' education all over the world, so why not here? Well, apparently, according to the Star Insider, Jolie wasn't very happy with Oprah taking Jennifer Aniston's side during the famous love triangle. Whether this is the real reason or not, Angelina is better off not having her name attached to the academy. The Leadership Academy officially opened in 2007. 2007 was also the year of the school's first controversy. A female staff member was accused of acting inappropriately towards the young students. She was arrested. In 2023, a former staff member, a different one, came forward accusing the school's executives of abusing their power. Now it seems people on social media, like TikTok, have started looking at the school with a magnifying glass and are creating all sorts of theories about what is going on at the academy. The academy, for sure, has given many girls access to education that wouldn't have had it and was even praised by Nelson Mandela. That doesn't excuse the horrible things that happen there, but there is still good to be found. Dakota Johnson, Madam Web, Lime Lover, Mother, whatever you want to call her, she tried to warn us about Ellen. She started the downfall of Ellen, if I am allowed to be so bold. I'm pretty sure I watched it happen live. Even though the 2019 birthday conversation is more popular, that's actually the second time this has been brought up between the two. If I had a nickel, it's weird that it happened twice. In 2018, Dakota Johnson visited the show to promote some movies. Ellen made a few unwelcome comments about skirt length and possible pregnancies before DeGeneres and Johnson started talking birthdays. Specifically, Ellen brought up how offended she was that Dakota did not invite her to her 29th birthday. And she actually wasn't invited to this party this year, but the next year for her 30th, Dakota fixed the problem. She invited Ellen, and yet somehow Ellen still missed the invite. That brings us to the 2019 interview. Ellen once again is reprimanding Johnson for her lack of invitation, and this is when the iconic "Actually, no, that's not the truth, Ellen" was said for the first time. Dakota even pointed out that Ellen had given her grief the year previous for not inviting her. It's like she knew this was going to happen again, Madam Webcore. Ellen's downfall came pretty quickly after she was caught in this lie. Ellen built her platform on giving, kindness, and being an advocate for LGBTQ+ rights. People started questioning her generous persona, wondering if it was even real. People from the set of the show started coming forward with stories that made Ellen look bad. Videos started going around online of Ellen not respecting guests' boundaries and making rude jokes, tying the whole birthday thing back in. Many people think Ellen didn't go to Dakota's birthday on October 5th because October 6th, Ellen was spotted beside George W. Bush in Texas at a Dallas Cowboys game. Bush is pretty famously anti-LGBTQ. He tried to ban gay marriage. Ellen is a married lesbian. What is going on? That was so much info. I'm sorry. This one does make me sad though. I used to love watching The Ellen Show.
Now starting off, we have Russell Crowe, as Russell recently made some non-flattering comments about Dakota, but first, some backstory. Earlier this year, Dakota's film Madam Web was released, and it was just horrible. It wasn't well received by the public and critics, receiving an 11% score on Rotten Tomatoes. Now, it wasn't just the audience who had a problem with film, but the actors did too. Dakota and her co-star Sydney Sweeney spoke out about the film. Now, despite admitting on previous occasions that she hadn't even watched the film, Dakota, who starred in the film, recently addressed its failures head-on, telling Bustle, "Unfortunately, I'm not surprised that this has gone down the way it has, but it was definitely an experience for me to make that movie. I'd never done anything like that before." The Madam Web's debut marked the lowest ever opening for any film in the Sony Spider-Man universe, and also marked one of the worst openings for a movie based on a Marvel Comics character. Dakota then doubted that she would ever make a similar kind of movie. "I probably will never do anything like it again because I don't make sense in that world," she told Bustle. "And I know that now, but sometimes in the industry, you sign on to something and it's one thing, then as you're making it, it becomes a completely different thing, and you're like, wait, what?" But it was a real learning experience. She continued by saying, "And of course, it's not nice to be a part of something that's ripped to shreds, but I can't say that I don't understand." Dakota also blamed the studio system for the ways in which it produces movies as having a negative effect on Madam Web. "It's so hard to get movies made, and in these big movies that get made, decisions are being made by committees, and art does not do well when it's made by committees," she went on. "Films are made by a filmmaker and a team of artists around them. You can't make art based on numbers and algorithms. My feeling has been for a long time that audiences are extremely smart, and executives have started to believe that they're not. All I gotta say is I agree with her there." Now she said, "I hadn't seen the movie, I probably won't, I don't know when I'll see it. Someday. Did you see the movie? I haven't. You know more about it than me." And listen, I don't blame her there. I watched it and it was painful to get through. This is definitely one of the worst movies. Now, Russell Crowe had a problem with her expressing how she felt, and he called her out. He said, "You're telling me you signed up for a Marvel movie and some effing universe for cartoon characters, and you didn't get enough pathos," he said in a recent interview with GQ UK. "Not quite sure how I can make this better for you. It's a gigantic machine, and they make movies at a certain size." Now, Russell, who did declare that he didn't want to make any comments to anybody else who might have said or what their experience is, also pointed out that he has experience with superhero films, having starred in DC's Man of Steel and Marvel's Thor: Love and Thunder. He's also in Sony and Marvel's upcoming movie Kraven the Hunter, which is set in the same universe as Madam Web. "These are jobs," he said. "You know, here's your role, play the role. If you're expecting this to be some kind of life-changing event, I just think you're here for the wrong reasons." However, Russell did acknowledge that doing superhero movies can be challenging at times, and that as an actor in those projects, you sometimes have to convince yourself a lot more than the internal feelings of your character. Now, I gotta say, I don't agree with him here. Dakota wants to be a storyteller and be attached to her character, but it seems like she didn't have that much to work with on Madam Web, and she was honest about that. I don't think she should be punished for that. Now, after this mess of a movie and a report from Variety about the Spider-Man spin-off franchise, it's mentioned that Dakota switched agencies, deciding to swap WME for CAA in November, just days after the first Madam Web trailer debuted. Now, it's said that this move raised industry eyebrows, but it's important to note that the trailer was widely mocked upon its release, with many movie fans clowning on its dated aesthetic and costumes, clunky dialogue, and uninteresting characters. And as we know now, the movie was a huge flop. Now, this isn't the first time Dakota has been blunt in interviews. She had an infamous interview with Ellen on the Ellen DeGeneres show years ago, and she put Ellen in her place, so it's safe to say that Ellen doesn't like her too much. Now, during one episode on the show, Ellen insisted that Dakota didn't invite her to her birthday and threw some shade. Now, without hesitating, Dakota shut down this false claim and said that the last time that she was on Ellen's show, Ellen gave her a hard time about not inviting her, so she did this year. Dakota then advised Ellen to ask her producer about her lost invitation, stating, "I did invite you and you didn't come. Ask everybody," before turning to Ellen's producers for backup. They then confirmed that the host had indeed been invited to the bash, but had chosen to not attend. Now, while it was an awkward exchange, it is one of the most iconic times someone has put Ellen in her place. Now, Dakota has altered our brain chemistry multiple times during her interviews, but one that sticks out was when she did her architectural digest open door house tour video. Now, during the video, she walked past a platter of fruit in her kitchen, which was limes, and she claimed, "I love limes, I love them, they're great, I love them so much, and I like to present them like this in my home." Now, it's safe to assume that these were staged for the interview, but she went so into loving them, fans were convinced that she truly did love limes. But later that year, when Dakota went on Jimmy Fallon's The Tonight Show, she admitted, "I actually didn't even know that the limes were there. I'm actually allergic to limes. I'm mildly allergic to limes and honeydew melon." Hey, at least she came clean, but what a strange thing to lie about. Then, if you didn't know, Dakota is actually a Nepo baby. She is the daughter of Don Johnson and Melanie Griffith. Now, in the past year or so, there's been a lot of talk about Nepo babies and how they get advantages in their careers that other people don't, and it was just a big, huge debate. Now, Dakota's opinion on it though, she said she found the term incredibly annoying as she jumped at the chance to make fun of it on Saturday Night Live. "When that first started, I found it to be incredibly annoying and boring," she said during an appearance on the Today Show. "If you're a journalist, write about something else, that's just lame. So the opportunity to make fun of it, I jumped at." Now, while on the show, Dakota also spoke about her father and said he cut her off financially when she refused to change her mind about pursuing a career in acting. "He cut me off, so it was difficult, but I figured it out." Dakota said that her actor and producer father told her and her siblings that they would still get an allowance if they went to college. He said, "If you go to college, you'll get an allowance," the actress said, and I was like, "Well, I'm going to be an actress." So he was like, "Alright, well, you're on your own." Now, the actress recounted taking modeling jobs to pay her rent and eventually started to show up for auditions. Now, when she couldn't afford groceries, she would turn to her mother because she was the nice one, Dakota joked. Now, after a few small roles here and there, Dakota's career forever changed when she decided to be the star of the 50 Shades of Grey trilogy. Now, Dakota recalled being unsure about the movie initially and said she couldn't talk to her family about it. It was actress Emily Blunt's advice that encouraged her to say yes to the movie that pushed her into stardom. "I couldn't talk about it to anybody, nobody in my family knew," Dakota said in an interview with The Hollywood Reporter. "I was cast and I remember I spoke to Emily Blunt and I was like, should I do this trilogy because I want to have a really special career and I want to make a certain kind of film and I know that this is going to change things." She was like, "Effing do it if it feels right, just do it. Always do what you want to do." So she went through with the films, but there was rumors of a feud between Dakota and her co-star Jamie Dornan. But Dakota told Vanity Fair that there was absolutely no bad blood between them. She said, "There was never a time where we didn't get along. I know it's weird, but he's like a brother to me. I love him so much, and we were really there for each other. We had really trust each other and protect each other." However, she did say that working on the set of the 50 Shades films did feel psychotic too. This then led to an awkward interview with her own mother. Now, at the time of this red carpet interview with her mother, Melanie Griffith, her movie 50 Shades of Grey had recently come out. Now, being rated R due to themes and nude scenes, an interviewer asked Melanie if she had seen the film. Now, Melanie will do anything to support her daughter, except for watching a sexually explicit film starring her, and honestly, I don't blame her. Now, the two got into a very uncomfortable conversation after being asked whether Melanie had seen the movie. Melanie simply responded no, then added, "I don't think I can, I think it would be strange." "Alright, you don't have to see it," argued Dakota. "If she tells me to see it, I'll see it," her mother said, and Dakota followed this up with, "I tell you to just see it and you're like, eh. Yeah, this was definitely an awkward moment between a mother and daughter in general, but in regards to them talking about 50 Shades of Grey, I feel like it's even awkwarder. I just want to know who greenlit that question for the interviewer because it's an incredibly awkward and strange question to ask. Now, Dakota also recently spoke about being in the finale of The Office and how she didn't have a good experience. She said, "I love that show so much, and they were like, do you want to be in the series finale?" she recalled. And I was like, of course, thinking I'd show up for like half a day. I was there for 2 weeks and I'm barely in the show. Now, it didn't help that the vibe on set was depressing, given it was the sitcom's last episode, and she felt out of place coming into an environment where everyone else knew each other. There were weird dynamics that had been going on for the last 10 years, she explained. Some people didn't speak to each other, and I'm coming in like so excited to be here, and nobody wanted to talk to me. Nobody gave a blank. Now, hearing this made some fans angry, as Dakota should have been more understanding.